tuning in to another edition of the Formula Review. I'm your host, Charles May, and today could be one of the best days ever, and that's because I get to review one of my personal favorite cars. That is, of course, the Nissan GT-R. Right here today, we have a 2014 GT-R. It's probably one of the more rare ones because it's one of only 150 cars ever made, and this, of course, is the track edition, which is different from the Nismo version, but still extremely rare. So excited to share it with you today, and I hope you enjoy. All right, time to take Godzilla out for a spin. Can't tell you how much I love this car. Been waiting a while to have one come in here, and even better yet, it's a track edition, so get the mirrors set up here a little bit. There we go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in manual mode. We'll activate all three buttons here to engage kill mode, or R mode, as the R indicates at the top. And for will it scrape, not really much of an issue. Again, this is a pretty good daily driver. Clearance is decent, but we do have a lower lip there that channels some air to the brakes, so this will make sure you don't scrape that. And we're on our way, no scrapage. So as many of you probably know, this is the R35. Predecessors were R32, R33, R34. None of which we really had here in the United States, so this was a really monumental thing here in the United States when this car came about back in '09. And you know, it's actually a car that I've been looking at for a very long time. The R32s, 33s are starting to see more and more of them as time passes. 34 is still very rare here in the United States, and pretty much only in the United States. You can get them just about anywhere else, but it's really nice to see Nissan be able to bring this car to the United States. And actually, this car, the success of it, really did Nissan a lot of favors. The company, you know, put a lot of R&D into this car, and it's pretty much a engineering marvel. But it really did a lot of good work for Nissan in terms of getting them solid with some cash flow. Man, I love this car. It is so damn powerful. The one thing that the GT-R has in spades is the power. It is mind-bendingly fast. It's funny, I've had two friends within the last year who had GT-Rs. I think they were 2011 and 2010 edition. Both of them sold it for 997 turbo. I think the other car was an M6, and within weeks they immediately regretted their decision. There's very little that can compensate for the power of the GT-R. It's a V6 twin turbo, but the way it comes on, especially if you mod them just even the slightest way, the amount of horsepower you can unlock from a GT-R is really, really impressive. So it's one of those cars that I'm afraid if you buy it, you're probably going to never want to get rid of it, because it's very, very hard to find a suitable replacement for that crazy amount of horsepower. So this is the track edition, like I said, one of only 150 here in the United States. What does that mean? You have these seats with this different fabric here in the middle. From far away, it probably looks like Alcantara, but it's not. It's this really kind of grippy cloth fabric. The seats are still the same as you would see in a black edition. They have the blue on the outline, or the red in some cases. Also, the track edition, you're getting the rear seat delete. So there's not really seats there, it's just covered up with some fabric. You have increased suspension that's much stiffer by like 20 to 30%. And of course, you can control that here with the middle button if you want to put it into comfort mode. It is a little bit more gentle. Right now we have it in R, all 3 buttons switched into R mode. So yeah, you have some better cooling channels as well. In the front lip, or right below the bumper, you'll see some channeling ducts, carbon fiber specifically, guiding more air to the front, and then the rear ducts are kind of hidden. You can't really see that, but it guides more air to the rear. And of course, you have another carbon accent on the rear diffuser. Still the same dry carbon fiber wing you see on the other Black Edition. But yeah, that's what you're getting with the track package. Not a ton much. You're saving about 33 pounds overall, but still it does make up some difference. So we're coming up on the tunnel here. Got a nice little space here for you. Gonna roll down the windows some, give you some of that GT-R heavenly sound. Give you a little bit of downshift here, and got all our buttons activated. Wow, that is amazing. The lightest touch of the throttle and the amount of power that comes on from this car is just unbelievable. I've done that tunnel run with Lamborghinis, Ferraris, other turbocharged cars, but the amount of power in this car is just absurd. It is silly fast. That's one of the only ways I can describe it. Every once in a while you run across those cars that just have power that is just, you're kind of skeptical, like, when would I put my foot all the way to the floor where I need even more horsepower? And that's what the GT-R has in spades. It's just crazy amounts of horsepower, crazy amounts of control from the all-wheel drive system, and it really knows how to send the power to different wheels and split it up with the way it has the power going to the rear, and then it goes to the front to another axle. So you have 2 different drive shafts that are working. It just really does an amazing job of putting the power to the ground. I'm going to deactivate the kill mode here, put the buttons down. Alright, so now we're in activate comfort setting for the suspension. Much more comfortable ride, not as crazy right now. Put it back into automatic shifting. So the first thing I really like about the Nissan GT-R is this car will do things that you look and see and your mind says that's not possible. First time I ever got in one and really felt what this car was capable of in terms of taking turns at speed and the way it navigates and just sends the power. It literally plays tricks on your minds. There's lots of race cars and fast cars that will do that, but this is the first modern day, all-day, everyday driver car that really did it for me. You're in a turn, this car, you can feel how much it weighs just by the way it goes over bumps and takes turns. It is a massive car. There's no denying that. But the way it sends power to the ground and the way it holds turns under extreme speeds is literally, it makes you feel godlike. That's the only way I can really say it. They probably call it Godzilla for a reason, because it makes you feel godlike. I mean, other than the fact it is an absolute beast. The problem with that is, though, it makes you feel sometimes too confident. You start getting really cocky. You got to be careful, especially if you start tuning things with more power. With great power comes great responsibility, and this car literally will make you do things that after a while you say, in your mind, I can't do that, but then you see the car can do that, and then you start pushing the envelope. Also, what you're getting for your money in terms of performance, you can't really beat the GT-R. This car will destroy Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Porsches all day, especially if you mod it up a little bit. Already out of the box, it's an amazing package. But that's the one thing I really like about it, is that it is just an absolute deal. It does amazing things, and the overall cost of operating these things is not as expensive as some of the other cars in the city. Yes, the brakes are expensive to replace, sometimes the tires as well, depending on where you go, but here in the Bay Area, we're lucky enough that we have places where you can take a car like this and not get price gouged. If you're in the middle of nowhere, you have one dealership to take it to, I completely understand that it's not much of a choice, but if you live in a place where there are options to service this car is much more maintainable than, let's say, a Porsche, a Ferrari, or a Lamborghini, where some of those costs to operate are very expensive. The second thing I love about this GT-R Track Edition that I personally really find appealing is this is a very low mileage 2014. It's got approximately 1,900 miles on it, and it is stock. It is very hard to find low mileage GT-Rs that have not been modified and most likely abused. It is, just like the Subaru STI I own. You find a recent one that's low mileage, chances are the owner has not done much to it or had a chance to do much to it. When you buy some of the older ones, who knows what kind of bolt-ons they might have removed, if they're tracking it and trashing the car, if they put some sort of different injectors in it, some sort of tune. So this car, very low mileage. Again, I've looked throughout the engine bay, the rear, the exhaust, no signs of any modifications, and it's a track edition. So you're starting off with a clean slate, low mileage car, one more rare GT-Rs, which is really a relief when you're buying a car, because depending on how hard the previous owner pushed it, you have no idea what kind of issues might face down the road. So it's really nice to see that this car is low mileage, it's relatively new, it's 2014, and again, the GT-R attracts some attention still. Got a Mini Cooper people waving at me, but that's what I like about this car too, is for those who know what this car can do, it's still very impressive, even since it came out in 09. It's still one of the amazing cars in terms of performance. So the type of person I can see owning this 2014 Nissan GT-R Track Edition, well, it's kind of like me, because I've wanted this car for about 4 to 5 years. I'll probably go with one of the earlier editions, not a 2014. And this is a Track Edition, so it's limited, so it's got a rarity factor there as well. For somebody who's always wanted the Lamborghini, Porsche, or Ferrari for performance reasons, this car is a much better buy. It's lower cost to operate and will probably decimate pretty much all those cars, for the majority of them. Really easy to unlock even more horsepower, and it can be driven as a daily driver. There's a great photo of a grandma getting out of one of these here in the Bay Area that actually somebody posted, and it went viral just because anyone can drive this car. It really it's not that bad of a daily driver. I personally would drive it as a daily driver, but if you're looking for a car that's low cost to operate, you can unlock more horsepower if you want it, and this car is such a great rally car. Of all the cars I've seen on rallies, this one has room, it's not too rough on your back, and tons of horsepower. It is actually pretty fuel efficient as well. The V6 twin turbos do not make it eat up that much gas, so really, really an overall great car for anyone who wants tons of horsepower and a good daily driver. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Formula View. I'm so happy I was finally able to share one of my all-time favorite cars with you all. Thank you to Brad for letting me share this very low mileage 2014 GT-R Track Edition with you. This car is priced at right around $82,900, so if you want more information, contact Brad. But this car has so many things. I could spend hours talking about it. The center display here, where it's got technology that was developed with PlayStation from the Gran Turismo game, in terms of the way it tracks the information from the car, G meters, track times, acceleration. Really, really cool stuff. Tons of, I think they actually make a whole separate manual just about the way this little center console tracks all the different data. So if you're interested, reach out to Brad for more information. Again, it's been such a pleasure to be able to share one of my all-time favorite cars with you. Let me know, what is your favorite GT-R? The R32, R33, R34, or the R35? Mine, of course, is the R34, which is a lot of people's favorite. There's a lot of fanboys out there for this car, and for good reason. It does amazing things, and it really, for the buck, you really can't beat it. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next episode.